Um, yeah. It's been about. I was just checking actually. It's over a year. Um,
Yeah, because it was shortly before my Instagram got hacked,
yeah.
and, and uh, yeah. Well, yeah, now I see you. Yeah, yeah. I got hacked in June of 22,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
was locked out of my account for 14 months, and finally, I'm back in. So, you know, I mean, I
That.
had created another one and all that, but it's just a hassle.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it was, yeah, it was weird because you disappeared, and it's such a major thing for you as well. I mean, it's a
Mm-hmm.
perfect marketing tool. It's so visual, and you what I like about your stuff on Instagram, and I think I'm right in saying it, is you don't use filters. You
I
want
don't,
people to see. Yeah.
I don't know how.
Excellent. Well, that's a good enough reason. That's a great reason.
No. Yeah,
But
I show what I make, and sometimes the light is good, sometimes not so good. I found out that like after 5 p.m. I get better light. That's pretty
right.
much the extent of my photography skills.
That's the extent of your filter skills
Yes,
after 5 o'clock.
I'm a bootmaker. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of which, one pair that were very close to my heart, as you'll see, because I sent you a bunch of messages about it, were the Evil Dead boots.
Yes.
That I mean, they were incredible.
Yeah. It. I don't. It's strange. I never had that many likes on a pair of boots. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like I had twice what I normally get. Or no, it's like I normally get, on a pair of boots, like about 300 likes. And it was something strange happened because I posted it, about, on a Saturday, I think. And I was at about 250, 300 likes until the following Thursday evening. And it started Friday, where started people started liking it in droves. I'm over
Uh,
4,300 likes. I never had
right.
any. I
So
never had a picture.
someone has shared it. Someone somewhere.
A lot of people must have shared it. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I suspect because like I don't know how the algorithms of Instagram work, so I don't know what happened. But that's by far the most successful picture of I ever had.
Wow. Wow. And what were
Yes.
they what were they like to make? Because they looked, I mean, so it looked like the Book of the Dead wrapped around the boot
That's
is what it looked like.
Yeah, that's pretty much. It's for a gentleman named Joe in Alberta, Canada, and he's like a big horror. He's a big horror fan. He's got a YouTube channel where he actually did an unpacking video of like the boots arriving at his house.
Oh,
It's
wow.
just
Oh, right. I'll dig that
yeah,
out and stick it in the comments.
yeah. Go check it out. It's House of Strumming Skulls. That's his Instagram, and I'm sure from there you
Right.
can go to
Cool.
and
Yeah.
did the unpacking of the Evil Dead boot, and that was pretty. I wish I knew computers better than I do, so I could have posted it online because I'm sure that would have been super interesting. And yeah, he's a big horror fan, and he wanted, because I've made a Book of the Dead wallets,
Right.
which is pretty good because it's a you
Yeah.
open it, it looks like the Book of the Dead, like in the movie.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I've
I'll yeah, you've got one order here, definitely. Yeah.
All right, so I've made quite a few of them, and I even do the inside like in the movie. I really go crazy on these because it's
Oh, wow.
and each
Right.
one. And the thing is, uh, to make it look like ripped flesh, it's got to be very somewhat disorganized.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I just showed him like a vague doodle, like a line drawing, because it's like I'm gonna work the texture in the leather as I do it. It's not, I'm not really good at rendering it with pencil. I'm better with leather. So I just gave him a rough idea of what I was envisioning, and it matched what he had in mind. And I went from there, and that was a very, very fun boot to make.
Yeah.
I,
Well,
I had a great time.
they've come out amazingly. Were you a fan of the movie?
that'd be yeah, that'd be good. That'd be the if they ever redo a series, another movie, or another run of Ash versus Evil Dead, that'd be pretty good. That'd be a good thing to have. I loved Ash versus Evil Dead.
I loved it as well, and it's just it's a shame that it's just time is against us. Bruce Campbell, ain't getting any younger, and it's a really demanding role, and but mind you, if they can keep wheeling out.
It ran what, five? It ran 5 seasons, something like that.
3 seasons, I think.
3 seasons, yeah. So how many episodes were they in total? It's just
there's not that many. It's not that many. It's only about, I think it's only about 6 or 8 episodes.
Maybe that's why it's so good. It's condensed instead of like stretching and having things that this could be trimmed. And like you see in a lot of TV series, it's like, okay, we can stretch one more season out of that. It's like, no. Yeah, I think it's better to they went for quality over quantity, and they succeeded. And I think it's even if it ends right there, I certainly would love to see more Ash vs. Evil Dead.
Well, there you go. Always leave them wanting more, and I'm in complete agreement. I'd like to see more.
It ends where he's in the future. He's recovered his hand. He's still in the he's still in that Dodge. What is that Dodge? No, it's an Oldsmobile something. It's and from time to time I see a few of these around.
Oh, brilliant!
Oh, that'd be good to have that car. There.
Well, look, make sure you check out that link I sent you as well, because that's a video to the song that we did, and it's a fan video. We didn't dare do one because if we knew they'd come down on us for using any footage. It's a fan video, and he's used all footage and nothing's ever happened. So check it out. But anyway, look, one thing I was thinking about talking to you, and I really wanted to know how have you ended up where you are now? How do you end up, first of all, I presume becoming a cobbler and then specializing in boots? Was it just something that was organic, and then you become, bootmaker to the stars? It's I just can't imagine how that all came together.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm a ball on the pinball machine. And every time I go one direction, like life just goes, nope, you go there. And that's it's always that's always been my life. Things happen, and I play through. I do the playthrough game. Let's see what happens. And I was working at a store in Brentwood, which is on the west side of LA. And I did a lot of custom belts and little repair stuff like that, And I got fired from there. And I decided, I always wanted to make boots. So I took a knife, I cut up my boots to see how they were put together. And I made my first pair. And that day, a friend of mine came to see me and he was like, hey, how your boot project going? I'm like, well, I'm wearing them right now. They fit. I had no idea what I was doing. It's 1996. 1986, there's no YouTube. There's nobody to turn to. I'm in LA, not in Texas. It's not like I can go down the street, find a bootmaker, and ask him how you do that.
But also, you know what? You go to these people and you say, how do you do that? And they say, well, you go away and work at it for 10 years and come back. They're like magicians. No one's going to reveal their secrets.
Exactly. So I just figured things out myself. And so my friend Brian, he my first day I got my boots on, he's like, wow, make me a pair. And that's how it started. And next thing you know, I was making more and more and more. I still had a job. I was making boots at night and on weekend. So I went full-time bootmaking in 2021, late 21, like October 2021, October 2001, sorry. And so from 96 to 91, I had a daytime job and I was making boots at night and on weekends. So it's like 3 hours of sleep a night was 5 years.
Yeah.
So I was grinding. That's all I did.
Yeah.
That's all I did. And in 2001, my friend Lee Miller, who's one of the greatest bootmaker that ever lived, I had met him the year before in Texas, in Austin, at his shop, and we were talking. And the year before, I was like, "Well, I'm not a bootmaker. I'm a guy who makes boots. I'm a cabler. I do cable pooling." And I went to see him the following year, and we talked about that again. And he was like, "How many boots you have on order?" And blah blah blah, all that stuff. And he told me, he goes, "At this point, your job is costing you money. You'd be making a better living being happy making boots rather than you are right now." And I came back to LA, and I told the guy that I was working for, my friend Jeff, who we're still good friends to this day. I told him, when can I quit? Because I'm going to be making boots full time. He's like, "Well, then start tomorrow." It's like, wow. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. And you make boots for one person who tells another one, and eventually you run into, like, it's LA. That's where all the celebrities live. So sooner or later, you're going to bump into one. It's right. Just, yeah. That I nearly got run over by Warren Beatty once. That's LA. You cross the streets and Warren Beatty takes you out. And I almost hit Johnny Rotten on my bike once.
Oh wow! Right. Okay.
It was in the winter. It was dark. I'm going down Sunset, and there's this guy crossing, not on the crosswalk, and I just jammed the brakes and I skid. And that was Johnny Rotten jumping in a limo.
Wow.
That things like that happen in LA, and so now we fast forward. So I was still cabling and making boots on weekends and at night. And I met this lady named Sharon Lee, who's a country singer and songwriter. She's pretty good. And she's like, "Well, what do you do?" I'm like, I'm a custom bootmaker. She's like, "Oh, in LA with all these celebrities, you must be, like rolling in work and money." I'm like, not really, because celebrities expect to be comped.
Yeah.
That's the deal. That's the way it is. They get comped everywhere, everything. That's just the nature of of their life. And I told her, well, not really, because I'm not going to comp any boot. The only person I would comp a pair of boots to is Lemmy Kilmister. And she goes, "Oh, really?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's a Southern lady. So she's like, "Oh, really? Well, I'll tell him, because Lemmy's a friend of mine." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure. You do that. You tell Lemmy." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And the following day, my phone rings, and she's like, "Were you serious when you said you'd make Lemmy a pair of boots?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Can I bring him over?" And an hour later, I was measuring his feet, and we became very close friends until the end.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I must hold the record. I didn't keep track because I'm an idiot. I must hold the record of the most boots made for one person.
Right.
Because I made 3 to 4 pairs of boots a year for 15 years.
For Lemmy?
For Lemmy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
He liked to travel light. So very often, if I made him a pair of boots, if he really liked them, because he was very set in his ways. You got to do this. I'm like, this is going to be better. I want this. So I would do it. And then he'd be like, "Oh, you were right." And so if he really liked a boot, he would ask me to make him a second pair sometimes too. Because he'd like to travel, with minimal luggage. He would ship a pair in Europe, have a pair on the bus, and have a pair at home. So he could just grab the boots that were, like wherever he was. So there was a lot of that. And he was an exceptionally generous person. He gave a lot away. He gave away a lot of boots. I've met 2 or 3 people who told me, "I have a pair of boots of yours." I'm like, "Well, we just met. How did you manage that?" They're like, "Well, Lemmy gave me a pair."
Wow.
Yeah, he would have several pairs in his dressing room. And, when people went to shows and went to meet him before or after the show, there'd be boots there, and if they mentioned anything, he was like, "Oh, try a pair," and if they fit them, he would tell them, "Just keep them."
Wow.
And with a pair of boots of Lemmy's.
That's amazing.
There's a few people out there who have a pair of boots that I made that I never met because Lemmy gave them to him. Wow. And he'd be like, he'd call me from the road and be like, "Remember the last Thunderbird boots?" I'm like, "Yeah, well, make me another pair." That usually he gave them away. He was
Brilliant.
super.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible the fact that just that initial meeting and then and what it all led to.
Yeah.
But also what's important about that is like, yes, that initial meeting, it sounds like, and people say, oh, that's lucky. You make your own luck. You spent 5 years doing 3 hours of sleep a night grinding. That's when you're in a position to be able to make Lemmy a pair of boots because you're good enough for him to wear them.
I always said the harder I work, the luckier I get.
There it is. Yeah, absolutely.
It's essential. You gotta put in the time in whatever you do, whatever you do in life. You just want to get by doing it, or you really want to do it.
So how over all these years, you must have picked up, I mean, literally, so you've learned by trial and error as you go. So the knowledge you've picked up, the knowledge of leathers and the way they take color and how they'll wear and what they look like. That's just purely been,
doing
how it goes. Yeah.
I mean, and reading everything I could, find about, when it's like when I started, all of a sudden, it's like I made my first pair of boots with a pocket knife, and I lasted them with a pair of channel locks that I still have. And after I made my first pair of boots, I'm like, okay, there's going to be a better way. And see, I'm going to be making boots, so I went to the library, and I found a book on old leather tools. And I took that book out, and I took Xerox copies of old, tools that I was going to need, and I went hunting for them. There was a great place in Santa Monica called Old Tools, and you found tools from chainsaws to dentistry tools and everything in between. They had everything, old tools, and you went in there like leather tools, and they would send you to like shelf number 6 to 12, and you went and looked for everything. So that's how I got a lot of my stuff also, and how to say it. Always looking at a tool that it can do more. The only tool that does only one thing is the knife and the sharpening stone. That's the only tools that only does one thing. Every tool is designed for one purpose, but think about it, you will get more out of that tool. I've always, I've been that kind of guy. So that's also, what helped me also. Because there was nobody telling me how to do it and what to do. I figured things my way, and that's how a lot of people have told me, other bootmakers, saying like, you have a very distinctive style. Your boots, not like everyone else's. You have and it's like because there was nobody teaching me anything. So it organically became what it is.
And I guess that's true. That through line goes through kind of like acting and being a musician and everything. It's like people who are self-taught as opposed to who've gone through the education process to learn how to do that. Tend to have to do it just
you learn to do it their way. And then that's the thing is it takes a long time to develop your own personal touch to it. And I started all alone.
Straight out the gate. First pair of boots you made was for you.
The first, I have them. They're right here.
Oh God.
Yeah. Let me get these things out. I keep them hanging here, and I can still see them.
Wow.
Because
okay, look, audio listeners, go to YouTube and watch this. I mean that's your first attempt at making a pair of boots.
It's very
brilliant.
First pair of boots. I used a sewing machine that a friend of mine loaned me. She was making quilts.
Right.
And
because you need a heavy duty sewing machine.
You need a sewing machine. So I used a little household sewing machine to make quilts and stuff like that. So then I got a good sewing machine. An interesting story there also. But it's that's the very, very first one I made, and it's absolutely god awful. But it was 26 years ago now. 26 years ago, and I look at that, I'm like, but it's not like there was anybody showing me what to do.
Well, exactly. I dread to think what a pair of boots would look like if I tried to make them. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's, I mean, whatever, you got to start somewhere. And that's the thing is, a lot of people, I've seen it a lot. People start something and they don't get the the great results they want to get,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, I can't do that, and they stop.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, yeah, oh, I can't do that. Well, with this kind of attitude, you're right. You can't.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's like just charge at it.
I heard a really good phrase the other day. Someone said it was if you think you can do something or you can't do something, you're probably right.
So, yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
you're right both ways. But I was also thinking, it's like it's like bootmaking. It's not it doesn't exist in a vacuum. You've got to learn stitching. You've got to learn carving for the heels. You've got to
Heels
learn about
actually
dyeing
are,
leathers and all sorts.
when you make boots, like, like stuff like this, working,
Yeah.
you buy that leather that is already being dyed pink at the tannery, and that
Right, okay.
brown suede has been dyed at the tannery. So when
Right.
you wet your boot, it doesn't bleed out. When you do carving, like the Evil Dead boot,
Yes.
it starts as a raw piece of leather.
Yeah.
Like this. It's just raw leather, but this is leather that is being tanned to take an impression. So you start with a piece like that, and then you carve it, and you end up with something like this.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And now I'm going to color that.
Yeah.
So
That's
that's
amazing.
the carving process, and that's how the Evil Dead boots were. Started a flat piece of carving leather that I carved and made the Necronomicon boots.
Yeah. Yeah. Incredible. So did Lemmy recommend any people to you over the years? Did he filter some customers through to you?
He yes and no. He tried, because it was, but somehow the guys were the people that he tried to push were not into cowboy boots.
That's weird.
Well, not everybody is.
Yeah, true. But I mean, amazing. You were saying earlier you make wallets as well. I mean, have you turned your hand to basically anything that you can make out of leather?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there are certain things. I mean, like leather jackets and stuff, and things like that. It's more of a tailoring job than what I do. Yeah. So I don't really tackle it. And besides, I know the best one. So if somebody wants a leather jacket, I just send it to my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. The two best jacket makers in the world are close friends of mine. So it's like
nice.
Yeah.
I don't suppose you've got a jacket of theirs by any chance?
Of course not. I hardly wear any leather. I wear cowboy boots. That's about it.
Right.
I have a leather jacket that was given to me that it's not cold enough to wear. I'm in Southern California. It's very enjoyable. It's great. It's I mean, yeah. I mean, a friend of mine was sending me pictures from where she lives. She's in Montana. It's already snowing.
Yeah.
I was riding my bike. I was riding my motorcycle yesterday.
Oh, it's it's not great here at the moment. So yeah.
I know.
My heart breaks for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, California is run by lunatics, but it's a great place to live in.
Well, Lemmy ended up finding home in LA.
Yeah.
Which always struck me as kind of bizarre, but I don't know. I guess that's as close to a home as he had in his, for the last sort of 20 years. I mean, because he'd been in LA a long time.
Yeah, it's funny because I moved to LA in June of 1989, and we talked about it one day. I think he moved in July '89. We pretty much moved to LA at about the same time. I remember one day we were counting the days. I think we moved to LA within 30 days of each other. That was quite interesting, and we only met each other like 10 years later.
Right.
So that was that was a strange thing. It's he was, but the thing is, I don't see Lemmy living in the country like I You know, he's a, he was a city guy, you know, and his house, like he told me one day, he goes, you know, this is just where I store my stuff. I live on the bus.
Yeah.
That it's a very strange life. I have several, you know, I've had several customers who that have explained their life to me, and I know that I would have made a terrible rock star. Good thing I did not become one. I was told by three.
So you've been told by other rock stars other than Lemmy.
I've been told by three big rock stars that I would be a terrible rock star. So, you know, that punctuality.
Who were they?
Well, Lemmy, Dee Snider,
right,
and Blackie Lawless. Oh, four. There's also Arrow the Wild, the singer of Starcrawler. I made a pair of boots for her. Was it about a year ago now? Yeah. Absolutely one of my favorite boots of all time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are black with a pink sacred heart with an arrow going through it, and they're with bootstraps with rhinestones. They're just so. It's like a weird mix between like heavy metal country music. It's like, I don't know, like Dolly Parton of the Plasmatics, you know, something like that. And Arrow is such a darling. She is absolutely wonderful, and she also told me you would make a terrible rock star. That punctuality thing of mine is something that does not exist in that world.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah. If it's punctuality you're after, forget it.
Yeah, I was told this story by my mother. She told me that when she went to the hospital to deliver me, she got to the hospital around midnight, and the doctor told her, between 3 and 4, I'll see you. And I was born at 3:30. Punctuality started with that.
Yeah.
Right there.
Since the day you were born, since the minute you were born.
I was born on time. And
you're always on time. Yeah.
Always. Yeah, it's it's like I'd rather be an hour early than a minute late.
Oh, mate, I'm exactly the same. Well, what's that expression?
Early is on time is late.
Yeah, to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late, and to be late is fucked up.
It's unforgivable.
Something like that, yeah.
Where I'm from, they say that punctuality is the politeness of kings. Kings don't have to be polite to anyone, but they can show respect by showing up on time. Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah, I like that. Mm-hmm. So what did Blackie Lawless have to say to you? Because there's a name that I know very well.
Yeah, I made some wrist cuff for him for a watch that he had. He needed a custom band for that watch, and that was just about a year ago. We're in November. Yeah, just about a year ago, and we talked about what I do, what he does, and because I was very interested. I had found out that, remember in 1985 the Senate hearing about the lyrics, the stickers on the lyrics and all of that, and Dee Snider had been there to and there was Frank Zappa, Dee Snider, John Denver. There were three: Dee, Frank, and John Denver.
Yeah.
And I had found out that actually Blackie was there and was supposed to speak also. So I asked him, is it true that you were there? He goes, yeah, I was. And, turned out that, he found out some other stuff that kept him, that he decided not to go. And it's really funny. So they were not 3 there. They were 4, but only 3 spoke. And it's funny because out of the 4, I met 3.
Yeah. John Denver to go.
I met Frank Zappa, but I met John Denver.
You've met John Denver?
I met John Denver back when I was working at that store that got fired out of in '96, and it was shortly before I got fired. And getting fired is one of the mandatory experiences in life.
Yeah,
there's 2 things. Like you need to see someone die, and I mean someone die in their prime. Not grandpa who's 95 hooked up to a machine that just drifts away. No. You need to see someone in full health just get snuffed. You need to see this because you understand how precious life is.
Yeah.
And then you need to get fired. at some
Not
point.
on the same day. We're not saying on
No,
the
no, no.
same
I
day.
don't recommend that on the same day. Try not to. But
yeah. But if it does, well, it does.
Exactly.
In fact, you might get fired for killing somebody. Who knows?
Exactly. So you see someone die, you'll understand how precious life is.
Yeah.
And you get fired because you'll understand that your life means nothing to someone else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You are expendable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was also one thing that I realized when I got fired from that job. Is like, I will get fired from jobs again unless I become my own boss, unless I work for me.
Yeah.
So be self-reliant. That's that to me is like the lesson. People ask me all the time, but I'm like, whatever you do, be self-reliant.
Well, very similar to my own personal motto, which is the same thing but put slightly differently. If you're going to commit murder, do it on your own.
Yeah.
Same thing, but a little more dramatic. But the point is the same. The point is the same. Tell one person, you're fucked.
Yep.
So,
it's absolutely. There are things like that I think getting fired is a mandatory experience in life since I die. And it's be whatever you do in life, be self-reliant, don't count on anybody.
So when you you sorted Blackie's watch out,
yes,
how would he come to you? Had you just your name had been passed to him?
I got a message one day from somebody. Would you I think it's his agent or manager or something like that. I want somebody I represent wants to get something made by you. Would you make something like that? Blah blah. I'm like, well, most likely yes, but let's talk about it. So he called me and he told me what he wanted, and he came over. Turns out he lives very close to me.
Ah, right,
he's about like 15-20 minutes from me, and so he came over a couple 2-3 times, something like that. And I remember the second time he came, he stayed here for a good 2-3 hours. We had a long chat. That was great. Explained a lot of things, like all that crazy stuff that was going on in the 80s.
Yeah, the PMRC shit and all that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like some.
They were front and center.
Bomb scares at their shows.
Yeah.
He told me there was one tour that they did. I don't remember what album they were touring on at that time, but he told me the LA show is the only one where there was not a bomb scare.
Wow. It's ridiculous.
Looking back, you're like, people believe that stuff?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, the Judas Priest trial. It's like, that got to trial.
I know. Yeah, it's like, what artist wants to kill their audience?
As the great Bill Hicks once said,
absolutely.
Nigel,
Ian.
Yeah.
Why do you kill the audience? I can say this again.
It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, Bill Hicks was phenomenal. Yeah, that's one bummer in my life. I never saw Bill Hicks live.
No, I never saw him live either. And I'm a stand-up comedian. He was a huge influence on me.
And
Hicks
and Carlin, I didn't see, but I saw Kinnison.
Well, that's the thing about Carlin is barely known over here.
Really?
And people who do know him, that's purely since the advent of the internet.
Okay.
But I was given a CD of his by a fellow stand-up in probably 98, 2000. And then I went over to San Francisco as well. And I got all his catalog while I was over there. But yeah, over here, but the weird thing is one of my friends, comedy promoter, who's the promoter of my favorite venue that is the oldest comedy in London called Downstairs at the King's Head. He was a Carlin fan, and he'd had everybody play there. Kinnison, Robin Williams, you name it, everyone's played there. And he was talking to George's agent about coming over and doing a tour. It wasn't long after his autobiography had come out, and he said, and he was like, you know, there's people know who he is now, and I think a tour would be really good. So they started talking about it, and unfortunately, before they could arrange anything, he passed away.
Yeah, his death was very sudden.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I remember seeing him like a couple of years before when he was still very active, he had not slowed down one bit. He was still 100%. Because sometimes you can see people are getting old and all of that, but he was old, but he was still the same. Nothing had changed.
Yeah, one of his best pieces he's ever done was his very last special. The opening 4 minutes, I'm a modern man. And it is just absolutely on point.
And his diction is so clear and precise. It reminds the best diction in the world, Eric Idle. The guy can just, I mean, every syllable is just chiseled perfectly.
Nunciating is his game.
Absolutely. He's the best. Eric Idle is, everybody has a favorite Python. Mine is Eric. I had the conversation with Lemmy one day. I was like, everybody has a favorite Python. And his was because he's no more, Michael Palin, who's wonderful. Right. I mean, they're all great. And mine is Eric.
Yeah. I've got to go with John Cleese, really, because I grew up knowing of Monty Python, but the first thing that I really saw was Fawlty Towers.
Okay.
And so, that was just it for me. That yeah. So
I got in late because, for a large part of my life I didn't speak English.
Right. Okay. Of course. Yeah.
But I remember the first time I saw some Monty Python. It was Flying Circus on TV, and I could not really grasp it because it was in the early days I was living here. But I knew that I was watching something exceptional.
Yeah.
And as my English got better and better, I would revisit the Python stuff, and now I'm like, wow, that was definitely something that was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you come from France, or were you coming from French Canada?
No, France.
Right. Okay. So where are you from? Where were you born?
I was born in Clermont-Ferrand, which is in the Auvergne region in central France, in the Massif Central, about halfway between Paris and Marseille. If you throw a dart in the French map, right in the middle is pretty much where I am, where I'm from, in the mountain, where it's really bad weather.
and so you went to the States. Did you go to LA to be an actor?
No, I came to LA to go to the Musician Institute. I was a bassist.
Ah, right. Okay. Right. Now we're getting somewhere.
So I came in 1989 to go to the Musician Institute, and I never left. Right. And when in 91, when like the whole Nirvana thing happened, like the noise from the Northwest, that's what I call it. I just went, that's it, it's over. I'm not interested in doing this. And that was that. I never played again.
Wow. Right.
Yep. I just lost all interest at that point. Everyone in LA suddenly shaved their heads and just went depressed and mumbling, trying to recreate the noise from the Northwest. And I was like, no, not for me.
Yeah. And lumberjack shirts and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I never understood that to this day. When I listened, I mean, you can't avoid it because somewhere somebody's going to play some Nirvana or stuff like that. And I'm like, there's nothing there. Sorry, grunge fans. I don't get it. You probably. I know you don't get on.
Okay, how are you with Soundgarden?
Same.
Okay, right. Yeah, you do hate all of it. Yeah,
all that grunge stuff was like
Soundgarden's the high watermark for me.
I would say in that style, yes, they are the better one. That's true.
Yeah, but I'm not really a fan.
I'm not gonna jump on the radio to turn it off if Soundgarden comes on.
Yeah,
there are a few select acts that I reserve that for.
So what kind? So what? Yeah. So what kind of music were you playing then? That this was such an impact on you?
I was into stuff like, like basic fun rock. I really liked that, the LA sound of that time, of the late 80s. One of my favorite bands ever is Junkyard. And
right, okay, I know where you're coming from now with your hatred for grunge.
Junkyard, I think Junkyard succeeded where Guns N' Roses failed, at being the American Rose Tattoo. Because everybody's like, Guns N' Roses. I'm like, never got into it because I like Rose Tattoo. I listen to the teachers, not the students.
Do you know what, Pascal? The reason why I'm smiling so much is the fact that there's only one other person, and it's not me. But but suffice to say, you came on the Motörcast, and we had a really great chat. We've stayed in touch. You kindly sent me some boot measurements and everything, which I never got done, unfortunately. But I've been really looking. I will. But I'm really looking forward to speaking to you again. And this really, really just illustrates why you are the only person in the world that thinks that about Junkyard, other than my best friend, who has the same fucking theory.
I'm in good company.
Yeah, you are indeed. Honestly,
I go for quality, not quantity. Yeah, I'm gonna go see them again in February. You know what's really great is they never achieved the success they deserved.
Yeah, sure. Well, do you know the photograph on the? I'm going really deep now, right? But Metallica, the Load album, right, where they changed image. There's a picture of them on the back, and they've got short hair now, and they're sat around a table playing cards, and there's like a bottle of Jack on the table or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember my friend, because we, both Metallica friends. I remember my friend picking up the CD, showing it to me, and going, "That's fucking Junkyard. That is. They have ripped that off Junkyard."
Yep. That's it's from the album 7, 6, and 9.
For listeners, he's digging out the album. Yeah.
It's and the other LA band that I really liked was Faster Pussycat. Like
my God.
sleazy rock band, just like this super sleazy that I absolutely loved. And same thing, I think they came on the tail end of the LA scene, and there were so many bands that the image had become something that then the image changed. Now you had to be a depressed neurotic from Seattle. It was just it's like it was.
Oh, nobody was booking good time rock and roll bands, that's for sure.
No. And I'm gonna go see Junkyard in February because they're still out there, man. I see them too, usually a couple times a year.
I bet you love the Bullet Boys.
I like Bullet Boys, yes.
Yeah.
Mark Torian, absolutely incredible voice.
I knew. That's exactly what I hear from my friend. I'm just cheating now. I think the two of you must know each other privately. This is the setup.
But it's like in music, I go also. The thing is, I listen to so many things. Like alphabetically, I go from ABBA to ZZ Top. Because there are so many great stuff up there, and there's so many great stuff no one's ever heard of. Yeah. And stuff that I never heard of, and that I have never heard of and discovered by accident. Or, one day you go, I recently went into a deep dive on Gordon Lightfoot, because I had heard like a song or two of his, and I was like, good stuff, and not that long ago, and I'm talking about a month ago, I spent like an entire week of, because I'm at my bench all day long, like 8-10 hours a day. So I listen to podcasts and a lot of opera. It's my favorite thing. And I just did a deep dive on Gordon Lightfoot and listened to everything I could find of his. And what a giant that guy was.
Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal storyteller. And it's a big loss. he died this year. It's very sad, but we all go.
And it's it's a hazard. Death. It is a bit of it is a hazard, and it's coming.
Life is a suicide mission. No one gets out alive.
Absolutely,
Lemmy told me one day, the idea is to die young as late as possible. And lately, I discovered, well, it's not that I discovered, I've been into them since 2019, but I discovered them by accident. This Japanese band called Bandmade.
Oh, right.
They're like 5 musicianship from hell. And really songs. And 5 really cute young women. I mean, they're really pretty.
What kind of music?
It's heavy metal.
Right, okay.
And they're dressed like cafe maids. Apparently, like 10, 12 years ago, there was this big fashion fad in Japan where they would have these cafes where the girls would be dressed like the anime characters like Sailor Moon and Cat's Eye Girls, stuff like that. They're dressed like maid outfits.
Oh yeah, very Japanese, yeah.
Yeah, and the one of the girls, Miku, the starter of the band, she was working at one of these bands, and at one of these cafes, she was taking guitar lessons. She wanted to start a band, and she had the idea of doing a band of girls like that. And she was taking guitar lessons from a girl named Kanami, who's a stellar guitar player. I saw them live twice. It's phenomenal to see her play. And and Kanami knew the drummer who knew the bass player, and eventually, it's like they formed the band. They are absolutely exceptional. I saw them in August. They were in LA, and I saw them again. I saw in October 22, and I saw them in August of this year, and they are phenomenal.
So, what's the name of the band again?
Bandmade. I know it's probably the worst name ever.
Bandmade, as in M-A-I-D.
M-A-I-D. Yeah, Bandmade.
Right.
And they made an album that I absolutely, because I'm trying to learn Japanese. It's very difficult.
Yeah,
it's
shit.
It's everything's the opposite of what we do.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, even the way the language is written, the way you read, it's not.
It's very difficult, but I'm making progress. It's not going to happen overnight, and so I try to immerse myself in and I discovered that I really like Japanese music. Right. It's very, it's like it's got these really cool instruments, and they made an album. It's only like a 6 tracks album, that I had to find it in Japan and have it shipped. And it's the album called Band Meiko. Meiko is an apprentice geisha. A geisha, you become a geisha. It's like you have finished your journey. You are not a geisha. You start as a Meiko. And so they made that album. It's not Bandmade, it's Band Meiko. And they did a few videos where they are dressed in traditional garb and all that, but they play their song with traditional Japanese instruments, like shamisen and koto, stuff like that. And it gives it it's heavy metal with really strong guitar, but a shamisen over it. Super good. Right. Absolutely super good. Just, where is it? I have it right here under a pile of other shit. But yeah, Bandmade, I recommend. The Japanese, they're like a race of engineers. They're like the Germans of the Middle East. When they do something, they do it right. They do it right. So
yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so with you being into all of this kind of Faster Pussycat and stuff like that, presumably you were a Twisted Sister fan as well.
Yeah, I like Twisted Sister. Yes, I really like Stay Hungry. That album is, especially since they remastered it a few years ago. Dee Snider gave me a copy of it, because the original.
Look at you dropping names all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because I always everyone who listens to Stay Hungry will tell you the same thing. Where's the bass?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't there that day. They did not record the bass. It's like, that was always, to me, that was like the songs are so powerful, and but it doesn't have the bottom end. And when I met Dee, that's a long time ago now. It's probably 15 years ago. We talked about that, and I told him Stay Hungry was such a great album, but the sound wasn't there. You were so much heavier than what that album sounds like. And I was seeing him the following day, and he goes, here's the new one remastered, and you hear Mendoza.
Brilliant.
And it's really good. It's called Still. They renamed it. They call it Still Hungry, and it's really good.
I'm going to check that out because I don't think I've heard, and I love that album. I absolutely love that album.
Yeah.
I mean,
the new mix on it, the bass is really present. It's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I loved that album, and also Come Out and Play that followed it. Because that was the tour that I saw them on. And
okay, I never saw them. Actually, no, I'm lying. I saw them twice. I saw them twice with the original members too, because AJ Pero died a few years ago.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I saw them when they did their Christmas album.
Oh yeah,
they
Twisted
toured
Christmas,
on it.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, and they toured on it, and I saw them twice, 2 years in a row. So
man, I saw them back on the Come Out and Play tour, and Dee Snider is he's in the top 5 best frontmen that I've ever seen. Just absolutely amazing. Just blew me away.
Wait until you see Psyche. Psyche of Ben Maid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a little woman that has such a command of a crowd. I saw them twice, and literally, I'm like, that little girl right there is in total control of this crowd. She could just send people do anything.
Well, as soon as this is finished, I'm gonna go and search them out.
Actually, if I may recommend something, look for the song. You go to YouTube and you look for the song called "Can't Live Without You," but just the song without any video.
Right.
Because so you hear them before you see them.
Right. Okay.
Because the visual is so interesting that a lot of people oversee the music, and right now you got to hear them. And then
that's why you shut your eyes when you really want to listen to music, because you have to cut the senses down, because you do listen with your eyes.
Yes.
And you will be distracted by what you're looking at. You have to shut your eyes.
That's I read a really great book by a guy named David McGowan, who's dead. He died. He was in good health, and suddenly he wrote that book, and he had a fast-acting cancer.
Yeah. Wow. We're back to death again.
Yeah, and that book is called Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon. It's about the whole Laurel Canyon scene of the 60s. Because everyone thinks the peace movement, the anti-war, and all that, everyone thinks it was in San Francisco. Not true. The Summer of Love, the Stinky Hippies in San Francisco was one thing, but the music was coming from LA, and specifically Laurel Canyon. And it was a psyop. All these guys are the sons, daughters, nephews, grandchildren of military intelligence people.
Right. Okay.
They were anti-war people. They were all of draft age during Vietnam. Nobody went.
Right.
If government wanted to, if they wanted to stop the anti-war movement, they could have just sent all these guys to Vietnam. That would have been over in a week. No, nobody went. And they were just promoting. They were just doing the outright promotion of drugs and all that stuff. And they were supposed to be anti-establishment. The establishment could have crushed them and didn't. And a lot of houses burned. A lot of houses burned in Laurel Canyon. So Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon by David McGowan. That's a mandatory read.
Oh wow! Right. Okay. I'm catching up on Japanese culture, and my book collection is getting a little.
Actually, the great thing also with Dave McGowan, before he died, he did quite a few podcasts and interviews and stuff like that. Yeah. So you type David McGowan Weird Scenes Inside the Canyon, you will have interviews of him where he explains and presents his book. That's how I found out about it.
Right. Well, I will definitely check that out.
Yeah, and I went and I ordered the book that night. And that's really changed a lot of things for me. And his other book, Programmed to Kill, also about how a lot of mass murderers appear to have been MK Ultra victims. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Bizarre. So, can I see a pair of Lemmy boots behind you?
Yes, that's the
that's the classic, is it?
that's one pair. I mean, yeah, that's one pair. That's the one pair of his boots that I still have. And
Right.
here's why. Because of his diabetes, um, his legs would swell up or shrink down sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
And you know that he wore his pants tucked in. This is based on a Polish cavalry badge that he had. He's like, make me a pair of boots with this. So that was that. And so because of his diabetes, his legs would sometimes swell up. I mean, I've seen them where they were like this. They were hot as rock. Diabetes is something serious. And so I made him these boots, and he was very adamant about, he wore his pants tucked in, and he wanted the boot to just be like perfectly in the continuation of the pants. It was very specific about that. So I made the boots always a little bit smaller than they technically should be, just to make him happy. And he was always happy. And one day, so I made him these boots. And between the time he ordered them and the time he had, and the times they were completed, his legs had really, really swollen, and there was no way he was going to be able to fit in them. But he really, really liked them. He loved that design. He's like, so I remeasured his legs, and I remade the boot, but with a bigger shaft, and I kept this one. So, so I have one of these boots that he almost managed to get his foot in. You can see they've never been worn.
But that is a lovely thing to have. That is a lovely thing to still have. Oh, they're beautiful, and they're beautiful.
Yeah. And I have his, and I always have this with me. That's his last.
Right.
See, IFK.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Yeah. And I keep, you may have heard 5 years ago, there was a big fire in California called the Woolsey Fire.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It happened around here. And I was in an evacuation zone. We got the alarm on the phone at like 3 a.m. to evacuate. And they said to prepare to evacuate. So we prepared. So I came down to the shop, and I took the boots that I was working on at the time. I'm like, if everything goes up in smoke, at least I have these things, done. I can stop. So I took my rack of tools, the essential tools that I would need, the boots that I was working on, and this.
Wow.
And I still have his file.
So what are they called, by the way? Because they clearly for listeners, they're the model that you shape the boot around.
That's called a last.
Right.
Yeah. Boot making is an interesting thing. The last comes first.
Right. Okay.
And you put square pegs in round holes. If you that's bootmakers. And that must be what makes you such a good bootmaker, because you're a Frenchman in LA, you're a square peg in a round hole, but it works. Yeah. Bootmaking it's very interesting. I love it. I miss it when I'm not doing it. Last week my house had to be tented.
Bugs
for termites.
Yeah.
Contrarily to popular belief, earthquakes don't cause that much damage to structures in California. Most structure damage is caused by termites.
Yeah.
So we had to, and my house is shaped really, really strange, So it was a difficult job, and we were gone for like 3 days. And we were in a hotel room. I was climbing the walls. It's like, I should be working. I have boots to make. Well, there's nothing to do, It's like, so.
Yeah. Oh, hang on. Hang on. Your house is really strangely shaped. Please don't tell me that you decided to build a house.
No. No.
Right, okay.
No. That building houses that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Lately, I did a little bit of I'm going to go deeper. I need to go deeper into that. Have you heard of this architectural type called brutalism?
Yes.
It's strangely beautiful in its ugliness.
Yeah.
It's like that Soviet post-war.
Yeah, it's jagged. It's ugly, but it's not ugly.
Yeah, it's ugly, austere, but it has a personality that is, I find, attractive.
It's very hard. It's very kind of
Yes.
like, it's I don't know, if brutalism was a band, it'd be Kraftwerk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, Rammstein, Kraftwerk, that kind of stuff. Yeah, Icebreaker, you know these guys.
No, more Rammstein and Kraftwerk, to be honest.
Yeah, I love Rammstein. I never saw so much fire in my life.
Yeah, insane.
The show
Insane.
ends when they run out of propane, and I think like they
Yeah.
back up, they back up the tank. There's a truck that backs up. They run hoses when they run out of gas. That's it.
Well, I went to see them in Wales last year,
Mhm.
and the Cardiff 999 service, the 911 service, kept getting people ringing up telling them that the Principality Stadium was on fire.
Yes.
And but all of the dispatch callers have been told to tell everybody, you know, like, no, don't worry, it's not on fire. It's a German heavy metal
The
band
rock
called
show.
Rammstein. Everything's under control.
Yeah, I saw something funny that was a year ago, something like that. You see, like, just a stadium with fire, you know, and they're like, meanwhile in Ukraine, that was pretty good. And
Yeah, it's insane.
I think they played LA, but I don't do stadium shows.
Oh, mate, honestly, I don't do stadium shows. The only band I would go and see in a stadium is Rammstein, and that's because
Yeah,
they make it feel like it's not a stadium.
yeah,
Because
it's
just the way they do it, they, you know, the whole show is for the whole audience, the whole crowd. And if
yeah,
you think you're going to be they'll switch the stage on you. There's all sorts. I mean,
yeah,
look, I traveled through 4 countries in one day to see them, so you know, I'm a bit of a fan.
yeah. I love these guys. Absolutely love them. Yeah, I saw them twice. The I saw them at the Forum. It's the last time I went to the Forum. That was really good. And then I saw them at the Anaheim Pond, where they, I mean, they entered the stage by crossing through the crowd.
Yeah, I saw that tour, Made in Germany tour.
Yeah, and you're like, wait a minute, it's like all these stuntmen, is that the band or what? And then you find out, oh no, it's them. They just walk through
Yeah,
the crowd right by.
and they've got all with flags.
Yes.
And they went across the roof. Yeah.
Yeah. And
oh.
there was a bridge coming down.
Yeah,
They were
yeah.
crossing.
Yeah, I know. And it's like you're watching it going, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
you know,
they are so great.
I've been to hundreds of live shows, and as is, they're with friends, and they keep turning to me going, what's going on? What? I was like, I don't know. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, not a clue.
I'm wondering how much does one of these shows cost?
Oh, a phenomenal amount of money. Yeah, a phenomenal amount of money to put that stuff on.
You know, it's like these tours are. I mean, not that we're not getting ripped off on the price of tickets, but these, because the bands get a flat fee more or less. You know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is the, funnily enough, that tangentially, that is one of the arguments that people currently have, or the problem they have with Premier League footballers, saying that they earn too much money, and that, you know, oh, look at, you know, so and so is earning like, you know, £1 million a week, and yet, you know, look at the nurses.
Yeah.
It's a completely wrong-headed comparison, because those people who are footballers, or you think of as footballers, well, they're now paid as entertainers, because that is what they are. And and who better to be getting properly paid a shitload of money than the people who are actually involved in delivering the entertainment? In other words, the artists.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I had the same conversation with my sister a few years ago when David Beckham went to finish his career to play at PSG in Paris,
and he gave his wages away.
And the amount of money was absolutely ungodly, and he just gave it all away. It's like, no, I just want to play. All the money went to the Paris Children's Hospital. He went there and played. He finished, I think, like 3-4 months of the regular season for playing for free. Yeah. And my sister was like, all that money to just kick a ball. And I told her no. I'm like, no, because I can kick a ball. Nobody's going to drop a dime to see it. He gets that money to fill up a stadium because he does.
Yeah. Yeah.
When
you're absolutely right. But also you can be really reductive like that. It's like, well, surgeons just chop people up. Pilots just fly a plane. So bus drivers drive a bus, whatever.
Just a bus in the sky.
Yeah, you could, if you're going to be that reductive, you can turn anybody's job into a piece of shit.
Oh, absolutely. Just a guy who sniffs glue.
I would say I do stand up, I sing in a band, I do a podcast. So my catchphrase is will talk for food.
Yeah.
It's like,
good. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
you can reduce everything to just that. Oh, it's just like, it's like same thing, with with any sports, any entertainment or anything like that. It's like, I read somewhere that Taylor Swift's tour was the most profitable tour of all time.
Yeah.
She gave a bonus. She gave an amount of money as bonus for all the people that worked on the tour, $55 million.
I believe it, man. I can believe it.
Thank you. No bonus, guys.
The girl's got something.
Someone who bought a ticket for $2,000.
I know. I mean, I'm amazed anyone paid $2, but she's got something. I don't know what it is.
I know the name. I know the face. I never heard one of her songs.
I know one or two. But funnily enough, I was reading the other day, amazing stat. I think it was one of the 2020s, either 21 or 20, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They said the top 5 selling female artists of that year. And number 1 was Taylor Swift. And number 2 was Adele. And Taylor Swift had twice the sales that. So basically what I'm saying is there's a big 1 and then there was just a drop off after that.
Yeah. She makes twice what number 2 makes.
Yeah.
And it's not what she makes, it's what she generates. Because there's,
there's that.
The money that they generate, the money they make out, different things. Like, I think it was the Rolling Stones a few years ago. Charlie was still alive. They went on tour. And essentially, they were like $5 million each to go on tour. And they just went. All the money was handled, blah, blah, blah. They just went to tour because, they play. Lemmy told me that one day. He goes, you start making music because you like it. You play with your friends, you have fun. And one day you realize, you mean I can make a living doing this? And he goes, and eventually, late in life, you've made money, some more than others. But the thing the constant, what remains the same is, you're still doing what you loved.
Yeah.
That's, like he told me, do you think AC/DC needs money? Do you think Mick Jagger needs money? Like, no, they go out there because they're there. They're in it for it. Like I always say, whatever you do in life, you be in it for it. When I hear dumb rock stars, going like, man, I'm rock and roll for pussy and drugs. Well, you're not right. Because you could have been in porn or you could have been pushing drugs. You would have never had to lug an amp in your life.
Good point, man. Good point. I like that.
Yeah. You're in it for it. I'm in bootmaking for bootmaking.
Yeah.
I will never be rich. I will not be famous because I don't care. It's not what I'm after anyway. I want to make boots.
Yeah.
Make great boots. That's my motivation.
Well, speaking of which, I want a pair of great boots made by you. So that is going to happen one day. I know you sent me everything. Just had an unfortunate turn in life at the time, but look, Pascal, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I really can't. And I just want to say thank you. It's been awesome chatting to you.
Thank you for having me. Well, we can make it a yearly thing.
Absolutely.